Today we're going to talk about a place called Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It's a sleepy little town nestled by the Ohio River, known for its friendly faces and peaceful living. But something strange happened there back in 1966, something that shook this town to its core. Little did they know a legend was about to be born, a legend that would forever be tied to this quiet corner of West Virginia. Are you ready to explore? Let's do it. Welcome to Screamville. It began with whispers, hushed tales told under the cover of darkness. Two young couples out for a drive on a lonely stretch of road saw something downright peculiar. A creature, tall and dark with eyes that glowed red in the moonlight. They said it was like nothing they'd ever seen before, like a man-sized moth with wings that stretched wide. It followed their car, they claimed, flying silently alongside them as they sped away in terror. More and more people came forward, describing the same eerie creature, the same glowing eyes, the same unease that settled over them like a shroud. Fear, they say, is contagious, and it spread through Point Pleasant faster than a summer storm. People started avoiding the roads at night, their eyes darting nervously towards the sky. The creature was out there, they whispered, watching them, waiting for its moment. Now news travels fast, even in a sleepy town like Point Pleasant. On November 16, 1966, the local newspaper ran a headline, "Couples see man-sized bird. Creature, something." The story spread like wildfire, jumping from town to town, state to state, until the whole nation was abuzz with talk of the Mothman. Newspapers across the country picked up the story, each one adding their own spin. The Mothman wasn't just a local legend anymore, he was a national phenomenon. And the more they read, the more they wondered, what if there was some truth to these outlandish tales? See, it wasn't just one or two people claiming to have seen the Mothman. As the days turned into weeks, more and more people came forward, their voices shaken as they recounted their encounters with the creature. Mrs. Marcella Bennett claimed she saw a large gray creature with glowing red eyes staring at her through the window of her car. Then there was the group of construction workers who swore they saw the Mothman perched atop a nearby building, its eyes like burning coals against the night sky. Each witness told a similar story, describing a creature of immense size, with glowing red eyes and a wingspan that seemed to defy gravity. Some said it made a strange chirping sound, while others claimed it was completely silent. With every new sighting, the mystery of the Mothman deepened. People gathered in coffee shops and on street corners, spinning theories and speculating about the nature of this elusive creature. Some whispered that it was an escaped experiment from a nearby government facility, a creature born of science gone wrong. Others believed it was a harbinger of doom, a supernatural entity sent to warn of impending disaster. But these explanations did little to quell the unease that had settled over Point Pleasant. The Mothman wasn't content to stay confined to the shadows of Point Pleasant. Word of his eerie appearances spread far and wide, carried on the wings of rumor and amplified by the ever-hungry maw of the media. Authors and researchers flocked to Point Pleasant, eager to delve into the mystery and offer their own interpretations of the legend. Books were written, articles published, and soon the Mothman had secured his place in the annals of American folklore. He became a cultural icon, a symbol of the unknown and the unsettling, a reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. And as the years passed, the legend of the Mothman only grew stronger. On December 15, 1967, just over a year after the first Mothman sighting, the Silver Bridge collapsed into the icy waters of the Ohio River. 46 souls, men, women, and children, lost their lives that day. The town was devastated. The Silver Bridge collapse wasn't just a local news story. It made headlines across the country. And as the dust settled, folks started to whisper, could this have been prevented? After the Silver Bridge collapse, people started connecting the dots, looking for answers in the most unlikely of places. Some people recalled seeing the Mothman near the bridge in the days leading up to the disaster. They said it seemed agitated, flying erratically, almost as if it was trying to warn them about the impending catastrophe. Could it be that the Mothman had tried to warn them about the bridge's impending collapse? Or was it simply a case of people trying to find meaning in the face of unimaginable tragedy? Whatever the truth, the association between the Mothman and the Silver Bridge collapse stuck. The Mothman, once a source of curiosity and fear, was now seen by some as a harbinger of death. Some people claim that the Mothman vanished after the bridge collapse, its purpose fulfilled. The Silver Bridge collapse cemented the Mothman's place in American folklore. Even today, over 50 years after the Silver Bridge tragedy, the legend of the Mothman continues to captivate and intrigue. Point Pleasant, once a quiet town on the banks of the Ohio River, has become synonymous with the creature's name. Tourists flock to the town, eager to learn more about the legend, to visit the Mothman Museum, and to stand on the banks of the river where the bridge once stood. The Mothman has become a part of Point Pleasant's identity, a source of both pride and unease. Now you know how it is with these unexplained phenomena. Some people say the Mothman isn't just some critter that got lost on its way south for the winter. They believe he's something more, something otherworldly. Some even whisper about UFOs, claiming the Mothman was a scout sent to observe us. There are stories of strange lights in the sky around the time of the Mothman sightings, unexplainable electromagnetic disturbances. Could the Mothman be a visitor from another dimension, a being with ties to the unknown and the unexplainable? Not everyone buys into the paranormal explanations. There are plenty of people out there who believe there's a perfectly rational explanation for all this Mothman business. They point to the fact that most of the sightings occurred at night, when shadows play tricks on the eyes. They say the Mothman was nothing more than a case of mistaken identity. A very big owl maybe, or a heron with its feathers ruffled just right. It's a logical explanation, sure, but it doesn't quite account for the sheer size and strangeness of the creature described by so many witnesses. Now, one of the most popular theories amongst the skeptics is that the Mothman was nothing more than a misidentified sandhill crane. These birds, they're pretty darn big, almost as tall as a man, with a wingspan that can stretch over 6 feet. And here's the kicker. Sandhill cranes have a patch of red skin above their eyes, which in the right light could easily be mistaken for glowing red orbs. So the theory goes people were seeing these cranes, maybe startled by their size and unusual appearance, and their imaginations took over. But there are a few holes in this theory too. Sandhill cranes are pretty noisy birds, yet most witnesses describe the Mothman as being completely silent. Now here's where things get really interesting, folks. The Mothman sightings happened in the mid-1960s, the same time that the Batman TV series was all the rage, and one of Batman's most notorious foes was, you guessed it, Killer Moth. Some people believe the popularity of Batman and his rogues gallery, particularly Killer Moth, seeped into the collective consciousness. Think about it, a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes terrorizing a small town. Maybe the Mothman wasn't a monster from the sky or a misidentified bird, but rather a figment of our collective imagination, inspired by the comic books and TV shows we consumed. The Sandhill Crane and Killer Moth theories are just the tip of the iceberg. Over the years, folks have come up with all sorts of explanations for the Mothman. Some believe the Mothman was an escaped experiment from a government facility. Others point to an abandoned TNT plant, speculating chemical exposure. Some think the Mothman is a supernatural entity, a guardian spirit. Native American tribes have stories of a similar creature, the Thunderbird. The truth is, nobody knows for sure what the Mothman was. But that's part of what makes the legend so enduring, so captivating. It's a mystery that continues to spark our imaginations and challenge our beliefs. Hollywood never passes up a good scare. In 2002, The Mothman Prophecies hit theaters, starring Richard Gere. This was a big-budget thriller, full of suspense and mystery. It told the story of a journalist obsessed with the Mothman legend. The movie was a hit, pulling in over $100 million. It introduced the Mothman to a new generation, cementing his place in pop culture. Now the folks of Point Pleasant, they could have shied away from their town's spooky reputation. They could have tried to sweep the whole Mothman thing under the rug, pretend it never happened. But you know what they say? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Or in this case, when life gives you a giant red-eyed winged wonder, you throw a festival. That's right, folks. Every year, Point Pleasant hosts the Mothman Festival, a 3-day celebration of all things Mothman. It's a time for folks to come together, share their love of the legend, and maybe even get a little spooked themselves. There's something for everyone at the Mothman Festival. You got your hay rides, your live music, your food vendors slinging all sorts of Mothman-themed goodies. You can get your picture taken with the Mothman statue, browse through the Mothman Museum, Even attend a Mothman conference if you're feeling extra studious. Now, you can't have a cultural phenomenon without a whole lot of merchandise to go along with it, right? And let me tell you, the Mothman is a merch-making machine. T-shirts, coffee mugs, shot glasses, you name it, they slap that Mothman image on it. You can even find Mothman air fresheners, for crying out loud. And the best part? Folks are buying it up faster than a swarm of locusts on a wheat field. The Mothman has become big business for Point Pleasant, bringing in tourists and their dollars from all over the world. And you know what? Good for them, I say. They've taken this strange, spooky legend and turned it into something positive. Something that brings people together and puts their little town on the map. Now you might be thinking, well, that was then, this is now. Surely people aren't still seeing this Mothman fella, are they? And I'd tell you, well, stranger things have happened than a giant Mothman flying around West Virginia. See, the Mothman ain't just content to stay put in Point Pleasant. Oh no, there have been reports of similar creatures sighted all over the globe, from the United States to Russia to Chernobyl. People whisper about a creature called the Blackbird of Chernobyl, saying it was spotted in the days leading up to that nuclear disaster. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe the Mothman's got a taste for traveling to places on the brink. Then there are the stories closer to home. Whispers of shadowy figures with glowing eyes spotted in the woods around Point Pleasant, or perched atop abandoned buildings, watching the town below. Are these just tall tales, spun by people looking for their 15 minutes of fame? Or could there be something more to it, something unexplainable? If you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments, do you believe in the legend or not? And as always, thanks for watching.